It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us today. Leslie Hoffman, Yavapai County Recorder in studio. It's been a week now since the general election, so we thought we'd have her come in and kind of wrap up this year's elections, the general election. Yes. Good to see you.
Thank you.
I think this is your third or fourth visit here this year.
It is.
Yeah, because it was a very busy election year.
We've been very popular this year.
Yeah. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
General election just wrapped up a week ago.
Yes.
How are you guys doing over there?
We're still going. We're finishing up, getting the last things done. Everybody is... They're still dragging in early and working late and trying to get it all wrapped up.
When do you have to have it all wrapped up?
Our canvass is Friday. Friday morning, 9 o'clock, we meet with the Board of Supervisors. So all the final numbers have to be in Friday morning, and canvass is the final reports, and then they all go down to Secretary of State, so the Secretary of State can canvass the whole state.
Okay, all right. So Yavapai County first for us.
Yes.
And then down to the state.
Down to the state, yes.
So election results are unofficial until they are canvassed, correct?
Correct.
People always say, why do you keep calling them unofficial election results? I said, because I have to, because they're not official yet.
Correct.
They have to be canvassed first.
And once they're canvassed, then our website will say official results.
Gotcha. So they canvass them on Friday?
Yes.
So they'll have a special meeting then for that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Friday morning at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Is that, you know if this would be Prescott or Cotton with that meeting?
Prescott.
Prescott, okay.
Yes.
All right. So how many ballots did we have come through? How was voter turnout? All that good stuff? Because Yavapai County is always very proud.
Always.
Right.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Well, so far we've tabulated 115,404.
Okay.
84%.
Oh, wow.
84%. Best in the state.
Best in the state.
Absolutely. We always are. Yeah, very proud of that. We have a very active community, very active county.
Yeah. So many ballots you got left to count?
Well, we've got...
what kind of ballots do you have to count?
We have about 650, a little over 650 provisionals. So over half of our provisionals will be tabulating. We just got those done yesterday.
And what are those?
Do take longer.
What are the provisional ones?
Provisionals are people who come into our vote centers and maybe they're not showing on our voter registration rolls. It's not registered. The addresses don't match what we have on the rolls. Any differences anything that's different that doesn't match our voter registration rolls. Those people get provisionals. They come back to the office and they're reviewed by our staff there.
Okay.
We also have what we call dupes or duplications. We get ballots that are sent in that they have coffee stains on them. They have holes in them. There's the timing marks on the side, the little dots on the side of the ballot.
Okay.
Those are what are read by our machines. Sometimes those get colored in. People get creative. They get colored in. Or a mark comes in and they're done in red or green. The tabulators don't read those. It must be in black, blue, or a dark pencil.
Oh,
so they can't be scanned. So we have bipartisan teams that look at those ballots and they duplicate the ballot so that it can be tabulated. And then they're tied together by a number in case, for a hand audit or in case somebody needs to look at those. There's a challenge. So they're duplicated and that way they count. We have a couple hundred of those yet to do. And we have, yes.
Wow,
and then we have the write-ins also. And we have over 7,000 ballots with write-ins. And those, by law, have a 3-person board that has to look at every ballot that has a write-in to make sure that the write-in is a qualified write-in.
All right, we were going to talk about this because it slows the process down.
Yes, it does.
Because, I mean, you literally have to open that ballot up, look at it, and it's not like you can just put a machine and it counts it and off it goes. It's done deal. Right. This one has to be physically, all these that you're talking about right now, somebody has to physically handle this ballot.
Correct.
Go through it. So that could be time consuming, especially one as big as the general was.
Very much, very much. The write-ins especially, we only have 2 races with qualified write-ins. You have to be a qualified write-in. You can, if you miss the deadline to be a candidate, printed candidate on the ballot, turning in your petitions, then you still have an opportunity to be a write-in candidate. You turn in paperwork by, again, another deadline, and then you can be a qualified write-in. We only had President and U.S. Senate were the only 2 races that had qualified write-ins. So when those ballots go through, all the other races on your ballot will be tabulated, but then those machines will say you have a write-in candidate on that ballot. So they're pulled out, set aside, And then after everything is tabulated, then those ballots go to a 3-person board.
Okay.
And they look at the ballot, and if there is a write-in for the 2 races that have a qualified write-in, then those are set aside, and then they compare those to the list. This year we had 16 qualified presidential candidates and 8 for U.S. Senate.
Okay.
But the machine doesn't know if the recorder or a judge is a qualified write-in. It doesn't know that. So no matter who is written in or where or what it says, that ballot has to be pulled and looked at. And so that's a very time-consuming process.
So basically, when I'm being funny or if I'm doing something like that on my write-in vote, because I would think typically it's probably, I mean, you hear about the Mickey Mouse, the Donald Duck,
Yes.
things like that being written in.
Yes.
The only person that's going to look at that is you and this
Right.
panel.
Correct.
So it's kind of fallen on deaf ears.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It just takes up time because we have no idea who wrote that in. The signature has been separated from that ballot long before it ever gets to the people who sees them. And we're still very vigilant about separating those signatures. Secrecy of ballot is very important. And so we have no idea who wrote that in.
Pretty pointless to do that then.
It is.
I would say.
It
say
is.
that's pretty pointless to do
It
that.
is.
Let's go back to the provisional ballots. So these are folks that show up and there's something missing between, they feel like they're probably up to date on everything.
Correct.
But obviously something is not in sync with you guys.
Yes.
So I guess prior to elections, what can I do to ensure that when I do come to a vote center in Yavapai County on election day that I don't have to vote a provisional ballot, that I can just go through the normal process?
Best thing to do is call us or go on to servicearizona.com. And the best thing to do is do it 29 days prior to the election because that's the cutoff.
Don't wait till the day before because it's too late by then, I would imagine.
Right.
Okay.
And if you have been removed from that list, say you've been canceled from the voter list, you have not voted, you say you moved and you have become inactive because election mail is not forwardable. If we send out, we're required to send mail to you before every general election, 90 days before. If it's returned to us, then we send you another notice saying it appears that you've moved. We send it to the address on the little yellow tag that we get back. Say, it looks like you've moved. Please give us your forwarding address. Here's a new address. If we don't get that back in 35 days, you go into an inactive list. If you remain on that inactive list for 2 federal cycles or 8 years, at that point, then you do get removed. You're put in the canceled. You're
Okay.
then canceled.
Gotcha.
So we don't just take you off the list right away.
Okay.
It takes 8 years.
Wow.
So, but if that happens, then you go to the vote center. We can't reactivate you. If it's within that 8 years, then you will vote a provisional ballot, and that does update your records.
Okay.
But if you have fallen into that canceled, it will not update your record. So be sure before that 29-day period, you go in and either go to servicearizona.com and look at your records or call us. We'll be happy to talk to you, give you that opportunity to update your address, update any information that we might have that's not correct, and avoid having to do the provisional ballot.
Does it take long?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Going
Right.
online takes no time at all, and calling us takes no time at all.
Right.
They'll ask you a few questions to make sure they're talking to you. That's why we ask those questions of father's first name, mother's maiden name.
Because you're so top secret, aren't you?
Absolutely.
That's
There's a lot
right.
of personal and private information on there that we don't release to people, and we want to know that we're talking to you and not somebody else, not your neighbor.
Right. Okay, I've got to take a break, okay?
Okay.
Leslie Hoffman, Yavapai County Recorder in studio today. We're talking about the general election, this year's election cycle. Stick around, countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Welcome back to Countywide. Yavapai County Recorder Leslie Hoffman in studio today. Ran unopposed.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Good for you. Laid back and relaxed the whole time, I imagine.
Well, there's so much work to do. It was nice
Right.
to be able to work and not campaign.
Right. If you want more
There's a lot
information,
for
go to yavapai.us. That's the website. Yavapai County website, bottom right-hand corner is where you can get all kinds of election information right there.
Right.
Vote centers. We
Yes.
have those. A lot of places in the state still have the polling places.
Right.
So I was telling you that when we read a news story now, since we cover kind of Yavapai and Coconino County, it's always go to a vote center in Yavapai and a polling place in Coconino, because you got to keep those separated, because Coconino County still does you have to go to this polling place, where Yavapai County's got that great luxury of just go to any vote center that's open and cast your ballot. Which vote center was really busy this time around?
We have 2 super centers,
Okay.
and they're over on the Prescott side, actually Prescott Valley at the Event Center. Used to be the Tim's Toyota Center,
Right,
now it's
right.
Prescott Valley Event Center. That's the double center. And then we also have one in Chino Valley.
Chino Valley, that's
Yeah,
right. I think we
those
talked
are
about this
2
last time.
busiest in the county.
Okay.
And we call them a super center because we put in double the equipment and have double the people.
Nice.
And they ran over 2,000 people through.
My nephew
very
used your
busy.
touch screen
Yes.
this time for voting. He said it was really nice, very friendly.
They really are.
Yeah.
When we first got those in 2014, I took those all over the county and did demos on them at every group that I could. They're very user friendly. We like them a lot.
Yeah, that's great. So that's probably the next kind of stage we're going towards, huh? Unless online voting comes around the corner sometime and we can just...
Boy, I don't see that in the near future.
I know,
really
security
don't.
issues.
Security, yeah.
Obviously, yeah, okay.
Till our programmers get smarter than hackers.
Yeah.
No.
Kyle Benedict, who works with me in the newsroom, had a question for you.
Yes.
He was watching election coverage that night, and it was said quite a few times that it's going to be a while before we hear from Arizona. It's going to be a while before we hear from Arizona. All the other states seem to be just rolling right in, but that was one comment they had repeatedly, was we're going to have to wait for Arizona.
Yes.
Why is Arizona kind of slower getting the results in?
I think a lot of it has to do with our early voting, which sometimes makes us have late results.
That's odd.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Arizona offers more ways to vote than a lot of other states. We have our permanent early voter list. So starting 27 days prior to the election, we start mailing ballots. So we have our permanent early voter list, so you get your ballot 27 days prior to the election for any election you're qualified to vote in. You can call for a one-time ballot. You can come in and vote early in person during that same period, or come to a vote center on election day. And those early ballots you can drop off right up until 7 o'clock on election night, which a lot of people, especially this year, did.
Really?
They waited, yes, in every election.
Okay, so people
They
were
waited
dropping them
late.
off the day of the election. Okay.
Yes, we got thousands and thousands dropped off the last weekend, Monday and Tuesday of election day. And those that are dropped off late, we can't process those until all of the votes are tabulated from the vote center or the polling place. Those very last ones. So we get those from the vote center or polling place in Yavapai County. We get those tabulated, and then the last earlies that were dropped off, then we do those.
Oh, okay.
And we still have to process those signatures. We've had a lot of people say, well, just count them. Well, we're still going to process. We're going to still make sure that those signatures are the people's signatures.
And that's the
that they're
signature on the
qualified
affidavit
voters.
envelope.
Right,
Okay.
right. And so that's going to delay those results a little bit.
Oh, okay.
We had over 19,000 of those
Oh, wow.
after Election Day,
Okay.
just in Yavapai County.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the results are going to be a little bit later coming in from Yavapai, or from the state of Arizona.
Okay.
It's all of our late earlies that we call,
Because of the options that are available.
because of
for
all of
voting.
our options.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So even then, early voting, again, like if you don't want to have to be with the provisional ballot, with the early ballot, you'd be better off getting that in a few days prior.
A little bit
'Cause
early.
Are those pre-counted? I mean,
Yes.
if I drop let's say you mail me my early voter ballot, and the next day I bring it back to you or mail it back and it gets to you in a couple of days, you automatically check that signature on the affidavit envelope.
Right.
It matches. You take my ballot, it gets counted.
Well, we check the signature.
Okay.
Check the signature
Okay.
first because we want to try to get a hold of you right away. If there's something
Right.
wrong with the signature, usually the problem is there's no signature. People get excited, they vote their ballot, put it in the affidavit, put
We
it in the
reminded
carrier,
a lot this year,
and they
though.
send it back. Oh yes,
We
you
reminded a
were
lot.
wonderful.
We reminded a lot.
Yes, we still had several of them come back with no signature on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to be able to get a hold of the voter. We have to wait until 7 days prior to the election to start tabulating, though,
Okay.
because on all of your statewide, federal or state elections, the Secretary of State goes to every county and they test our machines. We do what's called a logic and accuracy, a LNA test on all of our machines. Then we send them ballots. They just sample ballots. They mark the ballots so that they know results, and they go to every county and they check our machines, randomly check multiple machines to make sure they're tabulating accurately also.
Gotcha.
Once that's done, those machines then are all sealed, then we can start tabulating. So we can't start until 7 days before. And the elections department, Lincoln Stabley, our elections director, she starts 7 days before, and by election night, all those early ballots that are in, historically she's always had all of those that are in up until that Friday before are tabulated.
Okay.
So we get those done. And she had, I believe it was 76,000 already tabulated
Oh, wow. Okay.
by that Friday before. So those first results that come out on election night are.
You were telling me before we started recording today to do the show that you have an extra assistant. And I noticed that this year, over years prior, that press releases coming out of your office are far more frequent.
Yes.
And they were extremely helpful to remind us, to remind the viewers and listeners that, okay, this is when early voting begins. This is when early voting ends. This is registration ending. You know, all those important dates. She was sending releases out on that on a regular basis, so that was really great. The one I caught this year that was different was get your ballot mailed back. Typically, it was a few days prior to Election Day. I think it was the Thursday before elections. I would usually do a story that said, okay, you know, today's the last day you should try to mail your ballot back. It may not reach, elections in time.
Right.
But this year, the release came out and it said you better do it a week prior because the Postal Service changed their delivery.
Yes.
So that was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be 2 to 3 days, then they were saying 3 to 5.
Yeah.
So we asked everybody to please send them out a week ahead.
Well, keep
And
that
we have our
personal.
drop boxes, and those are nice. We were sending people out every day that week before. We were picking up an average of 800 to 1,000 ballots a day from our nine drop boxes throughout the
Oh,
county.
outside the city and town halls and stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of you know what? Let's take our next break, and then I got a question for you. We're going to have to wrap the show. We're almost done already. Okay. Leslie
Okay.
Hoffman in studio today, Yavapai County Recorder. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Green, green, green. It's your home, it's your dream. Radon testing, keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green.
Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. Now that's living healthy and green.
Green, green, green. It's your home, it's your dream. Radon testing, keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green.
To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent. We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program. If you want more information about Yavapai County elections and the recorder's office and register of voters, just go to yavapai.us. Bottom right-hand corner of the main page is where you're going to find information about that. Next year,
Yes.
after this year being so busy, I mean, I think you were in here, I want to say, at least 4 times. This is probably your 4th visit here. I don't think we had you come in just before the general, but we definitely have had you now in just after the general election. So next year is kind of a quieter year.
Much quieter.
Much quieter.
Yes.
Tell me what's going on next year.
Next year we'll have, in the spring, in May, March and May, when we'll have smaller elections, jurisdictional elections for questions. No candidate elections. Those have to be in the even number year fall for non-charter cities. The only charter city we have in the county is Prescott, so they will have their council races. That'll be in the fall of next year. So we'll have Prescott in August and November. Small elections for our jurisdictions in the spring. But next year is when we put together any new programs. We have our after-election meetings coming up and decide what went good, what we need to improve on. We do our continuing education. All of us, most of the management team, have national certifications, election certifications. We have to do continuing education, so we get that done. All of our staff takes forensic handwriting analysis classes. We'll get those done.
That'd be cool. Okay.
We get our state certifications updated. So we do all that. We have to do that every other year. So that's when we do all of our catch-up.
Okay.
All of our catch-up.
Classes in the off years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classes in the off year.
Re-registering. All
Programs that we want to implement for the next busy year. Our midterms will then be in 2018, our governor's race.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep moving forward. There's still a lot to do in those years to prepare for the following years. Well, that's when we go out to bid. If we need new equipment, we put our RFPs together during those years. We work with the board.
In 30 seconds, tell me, how do we there was so much hype about the general election. How do we get that carry over to our local elections? We still have great turnout, local elections, but not nearly as good as we do with the presidential election. How do we get that to carry over?
We depend on you.
Okay, there you have it. It's all up to me now.
Yeah,
we have to have you come back in.
We work with you guys.
Right.
Yeah, we work with our media on everything that's coming up and keep everybody informed. It's keeping the public informed is what it is all about.
Local's important.
That is, because that's what touches us the most.
Yeah. All right, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming in, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Say hi to Lynn and everybody over at elections for me and our county recorder's office. That is today's Countywide. Thanks for watching and listening, and we will talk to you again next time.